Veronique Mandel. Welcome back to The Right Stuff. I'm here with the author of Dear Internet, It's Me, Avery, Jennifer Amescado. So before we went to break, we were talking about a number of things about the book and how you came up with the title and all those things. But let's talk about what's in it. I don't want you to give away a lot of things because I want people to buy the book.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit about Avery.
Avery is every person who gets shaky when they're out of Wi-Fi range. Avery is connected at the hip, at the palm, to her cell phone, to her iPad, to her computer. She relies very heavily on internet help sites, like many people do. I like to say it's, who doesn't go on WebMD to figure out what that weird mole is? And
that really important person, Dr. Google.
There you go, Dr. Google. So she's, to me, representative of society today, that we tend to go online to research things, to figure out things, to get answers. So that's Avery. She is a nice person who's caught up in a few negative situations. Her husband has announced to her at the beginning of the book that he's fallen in love with somebody else, and that he's no longer interested in being married to her. And fairly closely on the heels of that, at the newspaper where she works, they have a new publisher who's a very difficult person, shall we say, and Avery needs to come to grips with the fact that she has to up her game in order to stay employed.
And they have a very interesting relationship, those two.
Yes, the new publisher, Victoria Van Horn, is a very driven person who is young and ambitious and has been brought in to turn around a newspaper that has been failing in terms of its revenues, which is a very typical situation today. As you know, in terms of media, it's a tough world out there. Newspapers have folded, they've been pushed to go online. So I really did think that was another way that was, the book could be reflective of society today. So Avery's facing, she has to up her game to stay employed. And Avery's more comfortable doing things like rewriting canned copy out of Hollywood for her fluff column than doing hard news. So poor Avery has to figure out how to get over her aversion to blood and cover hard news scenes now. And it's going to be a challenge.
And how she gets to cover hard news is absolutely hysterical. I mean, I'm a journalist. And it was really interesting how it was she almost tripped over the story to get it.
She came face to face with her big break in a way, but it was something that I wanted, something very memorable for Avery's first foray into hard news, soft news, I suppose you might say. And so when she went to an attempted murder scene, she literally trips over almost the evidence, passes out next to it, and becomes part of the story, and it goes from there. So it's like I said, it's challenging for poor Avery.
Mm-hmm. Now, the whole journalist persona, how much did you know about journalism?
Well, I mean, many years ago I worked at a weekly, which is certainly nothing to do with what a daily is like. But and I have friends
who
do
the same things.
Well, yeah, I mean, journalism, essentially the same skills are there, the same basic idea. Some of it was from people that I know who were at dailies, and so that certainly helped. But I mean, it's a world I was comfortable with investigating more. And so I certainly did some research as to what current newsroom is like, how it's changed. And I really was interested in how that is happening today in view of huge newspapers that have, had challenges. And I wanted to bring that to life in it's a funny book, and yet there's some serious undertones as to, what brings the humor in certain ways.
Now, what every writer listening will want to know is, so what happened? You finish your manuscript, then what happens?
Well, I wrote book one, and again, I was writing and reading to a very good friend of mine, Michelle Paludi, and then she said, so what happens next? And so I actually ended up writing 2 more books, and I hadn't really planned on publishing, I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I did a lot of research into what authors do today. There is all kinds of information out there. Indie publishing is a big thing, all kinds of people into that. And there's a lot of resources out there that can help you.
But
And I really had planned.
way.
I had planned to go out indie and do it myself. I was going to launch all 3 books. It was 3 books in the Avery series. I was going to launch them all at once, like House of Cards, have the first one up at basically free, and then lead people into buying the second and the third. And then I had an offer from Blue Moon Publishers. A friend of mine, an online friend and author, was with them and asked if she could show them my book. And she did that in February, and the rest was history.
And there it is.
There
so
it is.
What's next? So you've got a second book done.
Yes, actually, I've written 3 of them. I'm working on the 4th, and Blue Moon will be launching book 2 in the spring. I'm hearing that it's going to be sometime around March. So it's been a bit of a rushed process from when we first did this year. It usually takes about 6 months to roll something out, and because I had planned to put the book out in May. They had pushed to get the e-version of the book out then, the digital version, and then the print version came out in the fall. So now it's a little more of a relaxed pace for books 2 and so on.
Very exciting. And I do wish you well. Where can people buy it?
Well, you can get it on Amazon. You can get it at Chapters, Indigo, Kohl's. You can get it at Biblioasis, Juniper Books, the University Bookstore. It's pretty much all over.
So there you are. Dear Internet, it's me, Avery. Jennifer Amoscato. Check it out. And we're going to take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to be talking with Allison and Lauren Knight. You won't want to miss it.